Europe and Asia are usually considered to be separate continents, despite their border being ambiguous in places. But one place where the divide is clearest is at the two Turkish Straits, the Bosporus and the Dardanelles. For millennia, these have been critical crossroads for the region, and indeed the world, as countries from the Trojans to the Byzantines to the Soviets have sought to control these passageways. So why are these two straits so important? Let's explore. As their name would suggest, the Turkish Straits lie in Turkey, officially known as the Republic of Turkey. The Bosporus is the more northeastern strait, connecting the Black Sea and the Sea of Marmara, and is about 750 meters or 2,500 feet wide, and 120 feet or 36 meters deep. The city of Istanbul straddles both sides of the Bosporus, giving the strait its Turkish name, Istanbul Boğazı, the Strait of Istanbul. The Dardanelles is the southwestern strait, connecting the Sea of Marmara to the Aegean Sea, and from there to the rest of the Mediterranean and the World Ocean. The strait is about 1,400 meters or 4,600 feet across and about 130 feet or 40 meters deep. The Gallipoli Peninsula juts out on the European side. The city of Çanakkale on the Asian bank gives the strait its Turkish name, Çanakkale Boğazı, and the Çanakkale province surrounds the strait. Both straits, together with the Sea of Marmara, separate East Thrace on the European side from the northwestern coast of Anatolia on the Asian side. The whole area is considered part of Turkey's Marmara region. Geologically, the straits are dominated by the North Anatolian Fault, where the Anatolian and Eurasian tectonic plates slide against each other, causing many destructive earthquakes. The Dardanelles is a drowned fault valley related to the tectonic boundary. The Bosporus's formation is the subject of more debate. A 1997 study suggested the Bosporus formed in a sudden flood around 7,500 years ago, with seawater flooding a freshwater lake where the Black Sea is today, possibly inspiring the region's many flood myths like the biblical Noah's Ark. More recent research has questioned the Black Sea deluge as a hypothesis, showing evidence from sea sediments and buried shells that the strait more likely formed in a smaller-scale flood or grew gradually over centuries. Human habitation around the straits goes back hundreds of thousands of years, with stone tools from Yarımburga's cave in modern Istanbul dating back perhaps 300,000 years. The cave's earliest inhabitants may have been Neanderthals, since Neanderthal bones from that era have been found in other parts of Turkey, and the current wave of modern humans is only known to have reached Europe around 40,000 to 50,000 years ago. The first written records of the straits might come from the Hittites, a Bronze Age civilization centered in the Anatolian city of Hattusa, whose cuneiform writings are the earliest of any Indo-European language. Around 1350 BCE, the Hittites mention a city called Wilusa as one of their neighbors. The site of Wilusa is suspected to be a mound in modern Hisarlik, on the southern coast of the Dardanelles. Many archaeologists connect the same site to Troy, the site of the legendary Trojan War recounted by the Greeks in Homer's Iliad. The link is reinforced by the fact that one Homeric name for Troy is Wilios. Whether Troy really existed is still debated, but later Greeks seem to think it was there. They founded their own city of Ilios, or Ilion, on the same site around 700 BCE, and the era's historians write that notables like Persian King Xerxes and Alexander the Great made sacrifices at the supposed tombs of Trojan War heroes in the area. The Bosporus had its own role in Greek legend, as the location of the clashing rocks that threatened Jason and the Argonauts. The Greek city of Byzantium was established on the European side of the Bosporus in the 600s BCE, next to an estuary called the Golden Horn. The Achaemenid Persians would conquer the area around both straits in the 500s and 400s BCE. The region fell to the Macedonians in the mid-300s BCE, first Thrace to Philip II, and then Anatolia to Alexander the Great. The region was split between various kingdoms after Alexander's death. Both sides of the straits were again united under Rome by 20 BCE. In 324 CE, Roman Emperor Constantine decided Byzantium, or Byzantium in Latin, was the best place for his new imperial capital, completed as the city of Constantinople 6 years later in 330. In hindsight, this was really significant. While the emperors would lose control of Rome and the Western Empire within a few centuries, the Greek-speaking Orthodox Christian Roman Empire at Constantinople would continue for over 1,000 more years, though historians at some point start calling it the Byzantine Empire. Constantinople was conquered and sacked by the armies of the Fourth Crusade in 1204. Though the city was recaptured in 1261, the final end of Byzantium would come at the hands of the Ottomans, and in particular Mehmed the Conqueror, who took Constantinople in 1453. The city became Istanbul, the Ottoman capital, for the next several centuries. As the Ottoman Empire waned in the 19th century, European powers sought to control the straits through military and diplomatic means, in particular Russia and Great Britain. The so-called Straits Question remained an issue through World War I, with Britain and France staging a failed invasion of Gallipoli. Modern Turkey was established after the fall of the Ottoman sultans in the war's aftermath. The question was resolved with the 1936 Montreux Convention, setting specific rules for what military ships may pass through the straits, although the rules for countries on the Black Sea were a bit less strict as a concession to the Soviet Union. The treaty has an exception for capital ships, but not for aircraft carriers, so the Soviets and their Russian successors officially classify their aircraft carriers as aircraft carrying cruisers, a loophole which Turkey accepts, so everyone else does too. Today, the Marmara region is the most densely populated part of Turkey, with over 26 million people. Istanbul alone holds over 15 million people, making it larger than any other European city, though since only 2/3 of the city's residents actually live on the European side of the Bosporus, you could rank it second to Moscow, which also has a larger metropolitan area. Both straits remain very active shipping lanes. The Bosporus saw over 38,000 crossings in 2021, and the Dardanelles over 43,000. The Turkish government is building a canal across Istanbul to ease traffic at the Bosporus, and has notably claimed that the canal won't be subject to the Montreux Convention. So, what about bridges or tunnels across the straits? Well, for the first time in the history of this series, they've actually already been built. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus wrote that in 480 BCE, Xerxes' armies crossed the Dardanelles, which the Greeks called the Hellespont, on pontoon bridges made by tying ships together. Though Herodotus isn't always the most reliable source, this does seem like an impressive but achievable feat for the era. Herodotus also claims that a similar pontoon bridge across the Bosporus was built by the armies of Darius I 30 years previously. The first permanent bridge across the Dardanelles opened in 2022, named the 1915 Çanakkale Bridge, referring to an Ottoman naval victory in World War I. The Bosporus's first permanent bridge was the Bosporus Bridge, built in 1973, officially renamed the 15th of July Martyrs Bridge in 2016. Two more bridges have since been completed, in 1988 and 2016, as well as a train tunnel inaugurated in 2013 and a highway tunnel in 2016. So from ancient Achaean and Anatolian armies to Renaissance remnant Romans to today's Turkish tunneling triumphs, the Bosporus and the Dardanelles have played an important role in history stretching across continents, and they remain a home to millions of people and a critical part of the world's economy. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more like this, and as always, thanks for watching.